took one of my close friends to the airport. For 5 years, we have been very close to each other, his whole family and my family. And then finally, the time comes, they need to go back to Korea. So, as I wait at his family, the airport security, they didn't let me in. They didn't let me pass the security checkpoint. So I have to just wave my hand between the glasses. As I did that, I just remembered that when I left Korea about 20 years ago, that time I was the one who left the place. And then I had these many friends just waved their hands at me. 20 years ago, the international call was so expensive, and we didn't have a computer that popular, so we didn't have an email. On the airplane, I was kind of afraid or just concerned, what if all these my friends just forgot about me? What if I just came to lose all my friends in Korea? About months or 2 months after, I started receiving the letter from the friends in Korea. And those letters said they were just still talk about me, they're still missing about me, and whenever they talk about the time that we shared together, they really wanted to have me back. That kind of the experience like that was kind of amazing to me, because it was 20 years ago. And then yesterday morning, as I just walked out of the airport, all those memories just flashed. And I just remembered I should talk about you, about this Holy Communion in the same line. Because a Holy Communion, when Jesus just established this last Holy Communion, he probably had the same mind that I had 20 years ago about my friends. I left. I wanted my friends to remember me as sharing the story that we commonly had together. When Jesus had his Last Supper with disciples, he knew that it was his last night. He knew that he was going to leave. And that he wanted his disciples to remember him and remember his teachings as often as possible. There is a saying that when you are away from people or from each other physically, then they will gradually forget about you. We know each other when we just have a time and things together. But when we just get away from each other, when we don't see each other for a while, and then years after years, we just start forgetting about each other, and then someday we just act like we've never met before. This becomes even more obvious for the children. We adults, even if we just set apart for years, then we when we see each other, then we can just recognize right away. Maybe it takes time for a few seconds and a few minutes, but when we share the story each other, hey, were you there when I was, in Noble in 2010? Yeah, I remember that. At the Noble United Methodist Church? Yeah, I remember that. It was you, James. We could just dig out our memory and we can recognize, but children are different. Children, when if they have just 6 or 7 years of age, even if they were good close friends, once they are set apart and then being there for 5 or 6 years, they don't remember. Because the memory they share with each other is so short. If parents just force them to remember and then just dig out the story, they might remember that. They may got the memory back, but other than that, it's so hard. 3 or 4-year-old, impossible to remember. Because of such a short memory that they share. With Jesus and disciples, think about the relationship. The ministry that they shared together was just 3 years. But their faith was just still like a child. But one point for sure, from the Jesus point of view, is that the ministry that he did on the earth must be continued by his people. So that Jesus, at his Last Supper, he just made this symbol, the bread as his body, and the cup as his blood, and told to his disciples, when I left you, you guys must remember and share this bread and this cup as often as possible. As doing that, you remember about me, my life for you, my death for you. And as doing that, let the world know who Jesus was. So the Holy Communion is not only a symbol, but it's an actual means of grace for all Christians. Because as we come to the Holy Communion, first we remember the life and the death of Jesus Christ for us. It is not simply taking the bread and cup, but it is participating in his life. So that's one. And two is that as we do that, we become his people. But as we just make ourselves disciples of Jesus Christ, the God's grace will come upon us and renew our relationship with Christ, and that will become the source of power for us to live as Christians in this world.